Get people. For a second, it said zero attendees. I was like, huh? Hello, 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 everyone. I know you're all going to say hi to me in the chat because I love saying hi to you. Tell me where y'all coming in from. Oh, you know what would help? If I saw everybody. There we go. Switzerland. Holy heavens, Tanya. I love it. Irvine. Yeah, Lane, I was in Los Angeles for a good time. I was in Pasadena. I love it there. Hey, Bass. All my peeps from my Friday groups are in here. All right, I'm gonna be straight up with y'all. I got thunder bumpers around here. Pretty bad storms have been coming through for the last couple days. Have not lost electricity yet, however. There's always a shot. So hopefully if for God forbid everything drops, just come on in, back in. We'll get it restarted. It might take a couple minutes because if internet goes down, it takes a minute to reboot the modem. But the big storm isn't supposed to really land until another hour from now, and we just have thunder bumpers that are scaring Bella. So she's right next to me right now. But as for our webinar, our wonderful webinar, Tara Abbott is here from Written Word Media. I'm going to get right out of her way and let her get started with her wonderful words of wisdom. So if you have any questions, drop in the chat. If you have any questions for her specifically, hit it up in the Q&A box, and she'll take care of that at the end. All right, so Tara, go ahead and share your screen and let's get
All
going.
right. Thank you, Alexa, and thanks everyone. It's great to be here. Alexa, can you just confirm that my screen share is visible?
My name is actually Kay. I'm covering for
Oh, I'm
Alexa.
so sorry.
No, you wouldn't have known that. I didn't say it. Alexa's actually who you're looking at right now. Yes, I
Yeah.
can see your screen. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining. Like Kay said, my name is Tara Abbott. I am the Chief of Staff at Written Word Media. We are if you haven't heard of us, we are a marketing hub for authors. We help you get your books in front of the right readers. And yeah, really excited to chat with all of you today. Like she said, if you have any questions throughout, just drop them in the Q&A. And then at the end, I'll save a little bit of time to go through your questions. Um, but today we are going to be talking about how to reach your first 1,000 readers. And we're going to have kind of a big emphasis today on specifically growing your author newsletter list. So we're going to talk about kind of three key areas. So we're going to talk about email promos and promo stacking, giveaways, and then your author email list and kind of how to monitor and nurture that as you grow it over time. So with that, I will dive right in and we will move to the next slide. So just to kind of tee things up, all of you as writers, as authors, there's so many different aspects to kind of running your author businesses, right? That you need to worry about and think about. And ultimately, what we try to do at Written Word Media and what we're going to talk about today are some tools and strategies that can hopefully make that a little bit easier for you. There's a lot to think about when it comes to trying to market your book. There's obviously the discoverability piece, right? There's millions and millions of books out there. So how can you really stand out and reach the right people at the right time? And then second, again, you're busy, right? You're writing, you've probably got, either other obligations in life or other jobs, things like that. So how do you allocate your time appropriately, knowing that marketing is super important to the overall strategy of your author business, but maybe something that you can't dedicate all of your time to. So we're going to provide you with some tools and resources that will help make that easier for you. And then last but not least is kind of the uncertainty piece, right? Like how are you supposed to know which tactics work? What's worth spending your money on? There's, kind of a lot of questions there. So we're going to talk through some proven strategies, things that we know work well for authors who have been really successful from a marketing perspective. And we'll talk about kind of what order to do those things in as well. So before we dive into the specific tactics, the one I guess, kind of mindset framework that I want to put out there for everyone today. As you think about your marketing and as you think about specifically these strategies surrounding email marketing, one thing that I would encourage everyone to think about is to kind of reframe the question from, will this strategy that I'm employing, will this sell books today? And kind of change that to, will this help me build my audience? Really want to think about the long term and how you can start to generate an audience that you can get into kind of your flywheel and your funnel. And those kind of loyal readers and that engaged audience will continue to kind of compound and return for you over the long run. So you really want to think of it like a business, not like a single transaction, and think about all of the different ways that getting those first 1,000 readers or those first 1,000 subscribers can really help you with things like word of mouth, reviews, read through as you continue to write more books if you're a series writer, things like that. So, really just kind of thinking about how all of this impacts your long term growth, not just a short term sales push. So, the three tools that we're going to focus on today, the first is email promos and stacking. I'm sure a lot of you have maybe tried this or have some experience with it. So, we're not going to spend as much time on that, but I do want to touch on it. Then, second, we're going to talk about subscriber surge giveaways. And this is a really great, very like hands-off, easy strategy where you can grow your author email list and generate more very engaged readers who will subscribe to your list. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about your actual author email list and what things you can do, not just to build it, but to keep it engaged over time to make sure that you are continuing to create value for the readers who are subscribing to your list. So, the one thing that I would say before you do any type of promotion, any type of marketing, especially if it's something you're going to go and spend money on, like an email promo or a giveaway, you really want to make sure that you have your fundamentals in a solid spot. And ultimately, the way you want to think about this is it's like a funnel, right? A marketing funnel. And you have people kind of coming in the top of that funnel by putting all these different marketing strategies into play, where you're going to kind of get a big audience into that funnel. But then from there, not everybody that initially maybe sees your book or sees whatever marketing you're doing is necessarily going to convert and move forward to whatever that next step in the funnel is, like downloading or subscribing or whatever it may be. So you really want to think about what elements of your strategy are going to impact your conversion rate. So not just driving traffic through promotions and through emails, but also how are you going to actually convert those readers? And the things that we find have the biggest impact here, the first, hands down, is your cover. People do judge books by the cover. That's just a fact. So we really want to make sure that your cover is signaling your genre instantly. If somebody is expecting, let's say they really like to read sweet romance, there's a certain expectation they have around what that type of book cover might look like. And if it feels really off base, that is going to negatively impact how effective your marketing dollars work for you across these different types of promotions. So you really want to focus on making sure that your cover is really solid and very aligned to your genre. The second thing is your description. So you also want to make sure that you are starting with something that has a hook that's really going to draw that reader in and make them interested in what you have to say, what your story has to give them. And then you also want to really think about, again, some of those like genre conventions. So if you are in a specific genre, you do want to focus on maybe sharing things like tropes or themes that would be enticing to the reader. So those two things are ultimately across any of these types of promotions, what's going to convince that reader to potentially move forward with downloading or purchasing your book. Then the last thing is the back matter. So this is kind of further down the funnel. So let's say you nailed the cover, you nailed the description, you run some promos, people download your book and they read it. You want to make sure that when they finish the book, your back matter is doing a good job of capturing that user's email. So giving them some type of prompt to actually subscribe to your email list. We call that a reader magnet. And then also looking for opportunities to drive read through. So those two things could go hand in hand, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that could be something as simple as including an opt into your email list for them to get the first chapter of your second book, right? A preview of book two, which will hopefully entice them to go ahead and eventually purchase book two. So all of these things are really important from like a conversion standpoint. So before you start spending money on promotions or giveaways or building your email list, you want to make sure you have these kind of basics in place so that you're going to get the most out of your investment in your marketing. Okay, so we're going to touch very briefly on email promos, and then we'll move on a little bit more into actually building your unique email list. But for those of you who maybe haven't heard of written word media or haven't partnered with us before, email promos are a big part of what we do. So basically the way that this works is we have an audience of over 1 million readers across a number of different brands and a ton of different genres. And we send emails to those readers every single day with book recommendations. Those recommendations are tied to their specific genre preferences. So if I say I only like to read cozy mysteries, I'm only getting cozy mystery books in my inbox. So it's a very highly qualified and engaged audience. What you would do is you would set your price. So you would make a decision around setting your book price at a discount, because generally with email promos, readers are looking for discounts. And it's, again, a good way to kind of get them into that flywheel and into that marketing funnel. So you would either decide to set your book for free or maybe to 99 cents or at some type of greater discount, maybe up to $4.99 at most is what we would recommend. And then you submit those book details to us. We then make sure that your book is a good fit for our audience, and assuming that it is, your book will land on the specified date that you've selected in the inboxes of those readers who are interested in your genre. And then from there, you'll see a spike in downloads. You'll see an impact to your ranking on retailer sites like Amazon. And then over time, once those readers actually go through and finish your book, you will start to see reviews rolling in. So email promos are a really, really effective way for you to get your book in front of a huge audience that's very highly qualified, that likes to read your genre, that you may have otherwise not been able to reach. And then again, if we go back to talking about, making sure you've got a great cover, a description, and that back matter, someone sees your book in our email, they click through, they hopefully download it. When they finish the book, they get to that back matter, and you're able to capture them as an email subscriber and an author or a reader, excuse me, who will hopefully stick with you for the long run as you continue to put out more books. So that's how email promos work at a high level. If there are questions about that, again, feel free to put any in the Q&A, or you can absolutely reach out to our customer service team, and I'll give you that email address at the end as well. One other piece of email promos that can be highly effective is something called promo stacking. So promo stacking is very, very powerful. Basically, the idea here is when you are discounting your book to, let's just say it's 99 cents, rather than running a promotion on a single kind of platform or a single email that day, you stack that promotion and you run it across multiple different emails, multiple different audiences, either on that day or over the course of several days if your discount is extended over a few days. This is a really great way to amplify the impact that you're getting from your email promos, because you're reaching a ton of different audiences. So you can kind of layer in different newsletters, and then you can also, knowing that you have those promotions running, layer in anything you're doing on your own, maybe with social media or with your own email newsletter, to really drive some more momentum during that period of time. Something kind of notable here as well is that Amazon's algorithm in their latest update really does favor kind of sustained traffic from external sources. So these different email promos are all considered external sources. And if you stack them, let's say over the course of 5 days, Amazon or whatever retailer is going to start to see that lift and that interest in your book over the course of several days. So this is a really useful tool as well to just get a little bit more out of it. And at Written Word Media, you can see I put the website down here where you can learn a little bit more about promo stacks. With promo stacking, we actually partner with a ton of other email promo sites out there. So if you were to, and I just see a question coming in, so I'll explain this a little bit more. The question says, in promo stacking, I didn't get it, if you could give a specific example of different audiences. Yes, I can. So one of the brands that we own at Written Word Media is a brand called FreeBooksy. You might have heard of that. So that's one of our emails that goes out every single day, 365 days a year, with free ebooks that are genre targeted. So FreeBooksy goes out, you hit that FreeBooksy audience. We've got, X number of subscribers that are going to see your book. There are a bunch of other email promo sites out there. The Fussy Librarian is a popular one you may have heard of. Hello Books is another popular one you may have heard of. There's a bunch. They have different audiences, right? They have different subscribers who subscribe to their emails for different genres as well. So with a promo stack, you can purchase it all through Written Word Media. You don't have to go individually to each of these different vendors. You can just come to us, and we have these prepackaged stacks where we do all the fulfillment for you. So your book could run on FreeBooksy on Monday, on Hello Books on Tuesday, on the Fussy Librarian on Wednesday, and on eReader News Today on Thursday. So it would go out over the course of several days. Where the promo stacking specifically through us is just kind of like an easy button for you is you don't have to go contact 4 different companies to coordinate that. You can just go on our website. We have partnerships with all of these other promotional companies, and you can actually buy just a bundled package through us, and we handle all the fulfillment and make sure that it gets placed in those partner newsletters on the right day. So that's how that works. Great question. So this is really, really effective. This is something that, especially with Amazon's new algorithm update, that we highly suggest and that a lot of our authors are seeing a lot of success with. Okay, so we're going to move on from email promos. Again, the concept of the email promo is to get your book in front of a new audience or multiple new audiences that would not have seen your book otherwise. So this is like a really great way to generate demand and visibility and discoverability. But we're going to switch gears and kind of talk about like, what do you do after you run that promo, right? So once you've run that promo, what are the other things that you need to do to kind of, again, continue that flywheel? So we talked a little bit about rank, again, following those retailer charts, seeing what type of impact the promo has had on your rank. Talked about reviews. So you want to wait probably 30 days for that to give people time to read the book. But you are going to start seeing reviews coming in. And then you're also going to want to track your read through. This is especially effective for series authors or anyone who has, a backlist, but especially if you have a series, you're going to see some read through from that first book through to the second through to the third. So kind of tracking that and seeing what type of sales impact you might see on book 2, even if your promo was run on book 1. This is where the discounting can be really valuable, right? So, for example, if you were to run your book 1 for free on FreeBooksy, a lot of people might say, well, why would I give it away for free, right? You worked hard on your book. You're not going to generate much revenue off of that. But actually, if you have a series, the math generally checks out that it is worth promoting the first book for free to get people, again, into that funnel. And then once they're in and they're hooked and they enjoyed book 1, you give them that reader magnet and you give them that call to action at the back to move on to book 2. And that's where you start to see the revenue generation. So tracking that kind of all the way through rather than just looking at the impact on the single book that you promoted is a really important piece of this as well. And then again, looking at email signups. So did you see more people subscribing to your email newsletter if you have a call to action for that in the back matter of your book? And then also thinking about, if this worked well, if you saw kind of these impacts, if you saw more reviews, if you saw read through to book 2, if you saw more email signups, if you saw the amount of downloads you were hoping to see, then from there, what type of kind of cyclical plan do you want to put yourself on where, every 60 days or 90 days, you run something like this repeatedly, knowing that you're going to be able to get more people into that flywheel over time. One other thing I'll just mention real quick on the email promos is if you run one and it didn't quite hit your expectations or something didn't, you didn't really see the results you were hoping for, you can always reach out to our team. Sometimes like a small tweak of, switching your book from one genre to another or switching it into a different brand, because we do have a couple of different branded newsletters, things like that can actually have a huge impact. So just don't hesitate to reach out for us if there are any questions like that. Okay, so a couple things just to think about, and we've talked about some of this already, but you do want to make sure before you do any type of promoting that your book package is in a good spot. So again, the description and the cover, like we touched on. You want to think about, again, consistency over a couple of promo cycles to really kind of see that flywheel start to take effect. And then you really want to make sure that you have your back matter call to action in place. Again, whether that's a reader magnet, whether it's a call to action to download book two, there's a lot of different strategies there, but you want to make sure that you have something there so that it isn't just one book that someone reads and then they kind of move on and forget. You want to get them into your marketing flywheel. And then just the last piece here, again, consistency. So, what we find is that with these email promos, there's a real compounding effect. So, again, that first promo, you're going to see an impact. But then as you continue to kind of build on that and run promos, maybe every 60 to 90 days is typically what we see work really well. You're going to start to see a compounding growth effect to what you're seeing, not just in terms of sales, but also reviews and email subscribers. So again, that's always something that for your specific backlist, for your specific books, you can ask our team about. And we're welcome to give you recommendations around which specific promos or what type of cadence might work best for you. So now that you have, let's say, run some email promos, and you've maybe set up your author newsletter, your author email list, you're probably thinking about, okay, now how can I start to build my author email list a little bit more aggressively, right? Maybe not everybody is going to subscribe in the back matter. There's not just like a one single solution for how you grow your email list. So you might be looking for other strategies to do that. And that's where subscriber surge giveaways come into place. So this is essentially like an easy button for growing your author email list. And this is a list of emails that, again, once you have it, you own these emails. This audience is yours. So when you think about the promos we just talked about, the email promos, you're kind of renting our audience in a sense when you run those email promos, right? You're getting your book in front of our audience of readers for a price. With subscriber surge, what you're actually doing is you are acquiring your own email subscribers, people who are going to subscribe to your author newsletter. And that way you own the access to those email addresses indefinitely. So the way that this product works is we run a 60-day hosted giveaway. What we do is we create a landing page and we create a bunch of ads that we promote on Facebook and Instagram. And it basically says, enter to win 20 ebooks and a Kindle. And these are genre specific. So it might be specifically steamy romance, right? And it's going to be win these 20 steamy romance books and win a Kindle. People will see that ad across Facebook and Instagram. They will click on it, they will enter their email to subscribe, and they will have the option to basically get more entries. If you ever like entered a giveaway for something and there's things you can do to earn additional entries into the giveaway, they can do that by opting in to your author email newsletter. So they'll see every author that's featured in the giveaway. There's usually somewhere between 15 to 25 authors and their books. And they can say, yeah, I want to subscribe to all of these authors, or maybe select ones of the books that look interesting to me. And then you will actually get those email addresses. So you will have at Written Word Media, you can set up a free account. When you log into your account, when you're running one of these, you'll be able to actually see the email subscribers, download a list of all those email subscribers as a CSV, and upload it into whatever email marketing platform you're using for your own author newsletter list. So the giveaway runs for 60 days. The current price point for this is only $75. So it's just a one-time $75 payment. And then we do all of the work for you. So like we set up the landing page, we run the ads and pay for the ads. We even fulfill the prize. So whatever winner at the end, we select the winner and then we ship them a Kindle and we purchase your ebook along with the other 20 and we send them links to get your ebook from Amazon. So basically it's like very hands off for you as the author, and you will walk away from this with several hundred, typically is what we see on average, new email subscribers who are highly qualified. And I think that's an important point here. When it comes to email marketing, it's not that hard to just like go get a bunch of email addresses somehow. But what is challenging is making sure that the people that you're adding to your list have opted in and are high quality and actually going to be interested in what you have to say and what you're selling. And in this case, because these are genre specific, again, if you're a steamy romance author, like the people that opt into this, opted in because they read steamy romance, and they've joined because they want to win a Kindle and 20 steamy romance books. So you're getting people who are already really interested in your genre, who like to read. So they're a very highly qualified audience. And then you're able to just, again, import them into whatever platform you're using, whether it's like MailerLite or MailChimp or whatever you use personally. And they are all legally opted in to receive your newsletter. So it's a really great way for you to build your list with like a 5 minute setup. It literally takes you 5 minutes to find this on our website, pick your genre, check out, and then we handle all of the heavy lifting for you. So just kind of going back to, how you allocate your time as an author with all the different things that you need to worry about in running your business. This is a really great, like kind of easy button, hands off way for you to grow your email list without having to do a whole lot of work. So that is our subscriber surge giveaway. Now, let's say that you run some email promos, you run a subscriber surge, you've now got a solid list of, maybe it's a couple hundred, maybe close to 1,000 subscribers who are subscribed to your email list that you run. Now we're going to talk about like what now? Like, what do you do with that email list and how do you make the most of it? Because that's really the most important thing, right? If you're going to kind of spend these resources to try and drive the discoverability of your book and to try to drive those email subscribers, you have to make sure you have a strategy to actually convert them and do something with it after the fact. So we're going to talk about first, like, just why does this matter? Like, why should you have an author email list, essentially? And really, what you want to think about is you own this email list, right? So, like I mentioned, once these emails are opted into your list, this is an audience that you can continue to nurture and tap into forever. As long as they stay engaged and as long as you're able to keep them engaged. So, this is like one of the few kind of marketing tactics that you can have ownership over where you're not necessarily subject to the algorithms, right? Whether it's the meta algorithm for how you run Facebook ads or whether it's the Amazon algorithm. So this is something that you just have like a really high level of control over. So it's very future proofed, right? It's yours regardless of what Amazon chooses to do in the future that could shake up the way that we think about book marketing. This email list is yours to keep. And that's something that is very, very high value for you as an author and as a business owner. So, the first thing that you will want to make sure you set up within your email marketing platform is a welcome sequence. And this is really important. And this is something that you can fully automate. So, again, before you do something like running a subscriber surge giveaway or putting a call to action for subscribers in your back matter, you're going to want to have something like this set up. And it does not need to be very complicated. And you can set it up to be fully automated, where every time somebody gets added to your list, they automatically kind of get dumped into this sequencing where they're going to receive a series of emails from you to make sure that they're staying engaged. So the first email is always going to be a welcome and where you're delivering them whatever it is that they've signed up for, if that's the case. So, for example, if in your back matter, you put a call to action that says subscribe here to get a free novella, for example, then you're going to want to make sure that your first email to them that is automated is going to include a way for them to access and download that novella, whatever it is that you're offering them in exchange, which again would be the reader magnet. Then you're going to want to make sure to kind of introduce yourself. Consider that this is the first email that they're ever getting from you. I don't know how many of you like subscribe to email newsletters for whether it's other authors or for all types of different, content creators or businesses, but think about like what resonates with you and what keeps you subscribed to something. You want to make sure that you're introducing yourself and kind of giving them your story a little bit. Tell them what to expect. And this is generally going to be an email where you see a pretty high open rate. Then you're going to want to put maybe 3-4 days after that in a second sequence where after they get that first welcome email, they get something maybe a little bit deeper. This could be something that is kind of a little bit more about your characters, or if you're a fantasy writer, maybe it's about kind of the world that you've built. There's a lot of creative things you can do there. And maybe it's going, if you're a memoir writer, you're going into tell a little bit more about a real event that inspired your story, things like that. Something that's going to focus on building loyalty and help that reader kind of connect to what it is that you have to say so that they'll stay subscribed. And then a couple days after that, it's a great opportunity to do what we call social proof. So this is where you can really let your already loyal fans and readers do the selling for you. So whether that's reviews that you want to share, messages that you've received from readers, obviously with permission, things like that that you want to share about your book. This can be a little bit more promotional, right? You can kind of hype yourself up a little bit in this newsletter, so that people start to feel like, okay, this is something really legitimate. This has that social proof. Other people have enjoyed this. This is something I want to stay engaged in. And then once you've gotten to that point, I would say after, maybe 2 weeks kind of in this sequencing, then you're at the point where you can start kind of like pitching a little bit more, right? That's where if you have a new release coming out or you have maybe a special edition that you're selling or a box set or something like that, that's where you can start to kind of offer kind of more of a sales invitation, if that makes sense. And then from there, we'll talk about kind of what you do beyond this, but this is kind of the initial sequence which you can set up. I see we have a question. What are you using as a system to automate the email list sequence? So most email marketing platforms are going to have some type of sequencing automation tool built into them. So again, if you're using a MailerLite, a MailChimp, like really any of those common email platforms out there where you're actually building the newsletter and sending it and managing your list, they should have something called sequences, or sometimes it can be called like life cycle optimization. You might just kind of poke around in whatever platform it is that you're using, and there should be a way for you to set up a welcome flow or a welcome sequence. It could be called either of those things. Sometimes those words are used interchangeably. And then you should be able to basically create each of these emails and set rules where you say, okay, immediately after opt-in, within, 10 minutes, send email number 1. And then within 3 days, send email number 2. And then after X days, send email number 3, so on and so forth. So that's your welcome sequence. After they've been through the welcome sequence, you do want to start thinking about like, okay, what else do I have to say to my readers? Like what else do I want to send to them on a semi-regular basis? And these are just some ideas and some things that we've seen work well. So new release announcements, of course. This is a great way to do advanced reader copies as well, to invite people to receive those copies, to give them early access, to start generating things like pre-orders if that's a situation that you're in, exclusive bonus content. Like really try to make your subscribers feel like they're getting something that the general public cannot get, right? They're special and they are like insiders, with you as the author. So you want to make sure that you're offering them kind of exclusive or first access to anything that you're doing. This is also another great way to get more out of those promos that we talked about at the very beginning. So let's say that you decided to run a promo stack through written word media and your book is going to be temporarily 99 cents for 5 days. You should share that with this audience too, right? That's an opportunity for them to maybe convert on books that they have not purchased from you before. It's an opportunity for them to maybe share that with their own communities and say, oh, like my favorite book, my favorite author, it's on sale for 99 cents this week or today, whatever, however long your promotion is. So you can layer this in with some of those promo stacks and other promos that we talked about. You want to think about like anytime you're doing something from a marketing perspective, how can you layer in all these different channels and audiences at the same time? So this is a great opportunity to do that. Behind the scenes type of stuff as well. So like, what type of things have you done to write your books, right? People are often very interested in that. Like, what are your strategies? How did you decide on the cover? Did you take any trips for research? Were there playlists that really helped you while you were writing in the creative process? Is there a scene that you cut? Like anything like that, that again can help connect you to the reader. Anything behind the scenes, again, you're kind of making them feel like they're part of your exclusive community. That's another really effective thing you can share here. Now, you can also use these emails for some asks of your audience, right? Especially once you've been providing them with useful content, there can be a give and take there. So it's a great opportunity to ask for reviews. maybe a couple weeks after a release, you send out a newsletter to your readers asking them if they've finished the book, if they wouldn't mind leaving a review. You can also do like polls and Q and A's. So if you want to know information about your readers, you want to understand them better, you want to start collecting some data around really what do they like to see in your newsletter, or who are some of their favorite characters from your books, or whatever it may be, you can incorporate polls or Q and A's into your newsletters to, again, just kind of engage with the reader, collect some data. And also, one of the great things about this is it's kind of like a forced engagement. It's a good way to get people to click, which is good for the health of your newsletter. And then the last thing I would mention, you can also provide recommendations, right? Maybe you have some friends who are authors and you guys want to cross promote across one another's newsletters. You can do swaps, things like that, to kind of help promote one another. And that's another great way to really kind of build more trust and provide not just promotional content to your readers. So those are just some ideas. Again, you can get really creative with it. You guys are creatives, you're writers. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And you really just want to show your personality and again, make those subscribers feel like they are kind of in the inside circle with you. Okay. So for email list best practices, once you've done that sequencing, you want to set some type of consistent schedule. And this doesn't have to be like you're sending an email every day or even every week, right? Think about what's reasonable for you based on, your priorities. And also, think about what type of content do you want to put out there? And does it make sense weekly? Does it make more sense to be every other week? Even monthly is okay, right? Maybe that's where you start and you could build from there once you get more confident working in your platform or coming up with more ideas. But set a schedule, regardless of what that frequency is. You want to set yourself a schedule and really hold yourself accountable to that because people want to, like, they want to get what they expect to get and see like the same day of the week or the same day every month or whatever it is. Once you start building kind of loyal readers, like they might know, oh, on Thursdays, I look forward to that newsletter. And if it's missed one Thursday, they might be wondering why. And that can create, unsubscribes and a less engaged audience. So just be realistic about what type of schedule you think you can maintain and then stick to that. And then also always try to have like a clear next step. So again, trying to like point somewhere. So even if one of your emails that you send out isn't super promotional, maybe it's leading towards something that you're going to send out in your next newsletter that is a little bit more promotional, like a new release or a deal or something like that. So even if you are sending out something that's maybe just a little bit more informative or creative and isn't quite as much of a sales pitch, so to speak, you still want to kind of think about where that's leading and think about it as an opportunity to tee up something like a deal that you're promoting or asking for reviews, something like that. And then the last thing that I'll note here is it's really important to clean your list. And generally, in most email platforms, this is something you should be able to do in an automated fashion as well. Let's say you get your first 1,000 subscribers. That's like an awesome milestone to hit, and you're sending consistently to them. What you want to do is you want to create lists. And again, most tools will have ways for you to do this where you are only sending to subscribers who are active and engaged. So, for example, you might set up a rule within your list that an email is only going to go out to subscribers who have opened your email at least once within the past year or 6 months, right? You could kind of decide what makes the most sense for you. But you really want to make sure that you're not just sending this to people who are ignoring it every single time, because that is actually going to hurt your deliverability. What's going to end up happening is those people might end up eventually marking it as spam. A lot of email clients, like Gmail being the most popular one nowadays, like AI is starting to get incorporated into how those emails land in your inbox and whether they get pushed over to like the promotions tab or spam or something like that. And the less engaged someone is with an email, the more likely that is to happen. So that can impact the deliverability of your emails. So you really want to make sure you're only sending to people who are engaged. So for example, with the email promos that we send on your behalf, right, with something like FreeBooksy, we only send to people who are engaged. If someone has not clicked and opened a FreeBooksy email in a while, they drop off of our list because we don't want to send your book to them because they're not engaged. So you want to think about that the same way with your author newsletter. But then there are also things you could do like a re-engagement campaign. So maybe you send out something specific that is more of like a really good deal or offer. Maybe when you're doing a 99-cent deal, you do send that to the list of disengaged people as well, since it might be a hook to kind of draw them back in. So there's some different creative things you can do there, but you really want to make sure over time you're constantly building your list, and then you're also cleaning it by making sure that you're not sending to people who are disengaged. Okay, so just to kind of summarize what we've talked about so far, and then we've left some time if there are any other questions you guys can drop into the Q&A. First step, right, is to think about your fundamentals. So before you purchase a promo or start sending emails, you want to make sure that you are in a good spot with your book covers, your descriptions, your back matter, all that good stuff is really well genre aligned and something that you're kind of feels like it's going to be a good fit for the audience you're trying to reach. Once you've done that, you're in a great spot to try your first email promo. You can go to writtenwordmedia.com and create a free account. We do also have a membership program, but you can also do it as a free account. You don't have to become a member. And with that free account, you'll be able to go in and see all of the different email promos and genres that are available to you. And then you can make a decision about, what audience you want to target and submit your book information, and we handle the rest for you. If when you go to do that, you have any questions, or maybe you go to our site and you're like, I'm not really sure where to start, I'm not sure which promo is right for me, just contact us. hello@writtenwordmedia.com is our customer service email. And we have wonderful people, real people. You're not going to get a response from an AI agent. You're going to get a response from real people on our team. We're all here in North Carolina. So you're going to get a response from our team, and they are going to be able to help you. They'll take a look at your book, send them a link to it, and they'll say, hey, here's what I think would probably be the best fit for you, or give you a couple of options, help you narrow it down. But once you've run that first email promo, you'll be able to, again, kind of go back, look at how that performed in terms of reviews, in terms of read through, in terms of downloads, maybe set yourself a schedule for how you want to run those on a regular cadence, or maybe you try out a stack if you haven't yet and see if you want to kind of amplify and reach a larger audience with a promo stack. Then from there, as you are starting to kind of build that flywheel, you're getting reviews, you're getting downloads. It's a great opportunity to start building that infrastructure for your email list. And once you feel like you have that in a good place, go ahead and try a subscriber surge giveaway. And again, that's kind of the easy way to build your email list, where we'll handle all the giveaway details for you. And all you'll need to do is sign up, give us your book information, and then go in and download the list of subscribers that you received. And then last but not least is, again, working that email list, making sure you've set up that welcome flow, making sure that you have a good plan. I would think about building out like a content calendar of what things you're going to share over the next X number of weeks or months, depending on what type of cadence you're sending on. And then you can kind of rinse and repeat these strategies, right? We have a lot of authors who see a ton of success that they have like a set schedule where every 60 days, they run a certain promo stack, or every 90 days, they do another subscriber surge to get more fresh emails into their list. All different ways that you can set it up. And again, if you have questions about that, our team is always happy to help out and give you some specific advice that's going to work best for your book and your specific backlist. I'll just jump over real quick and look at these questions. So I think I already answered the one about the automation in the email list for the welcome sequence. So I would look at the specific platform that you're using and just make sure that you have the ability to do that within the platform. Again, you might just contact their customer service if you're not sure how to set it up, but generally looking for something that says like welcome flow or welcome sequence are kind of the words that you're looking for there. And then another question from Leary, I hope I'm saying your name right. What genres do you support and how many subscribers per genre? Excellent question. So we we support a ton of genres. I could not list them all off right now if I tried. I will say we have, I would say, the strongest audiences that we have are going to generally be fiction. We have really, really strong engaged audiences across all different segments of romance, mystery, thriller, um, uh, basically like anything that kind of falls under one of those like really right down the fairway kind of fiction genres. But we also have a bunch of nonfiction placements as well. So just take a look at our website and you'll actually be able to see the list for each different newsletter. So we have Free Booksy, Bargain Booksy, there's a few others. You'd be able to see the list of all the genres that are available. And if you feel like your book is maybe doesn't fit perfectly into one genre, I would contact our team. They'll read your book description and kind of get a better sense for it. They'll also look at your cover because a lot of times we'll make the determination on what genre we think it's the best fit for based on the cover. Um, and then they will make a recommendation to you on which genre is the best for you. Also, on our website, when you look at those genres for each newsletter, it will show you the estimated subscriber reach. So you'll be able to see roughly how many readers you would be getting in front of with that genre. Every genre is a little bit different. Not every genre has the same volume of readers on our lists. So you'd be able to look and see which genres have potentially more than others. And all of our promotions are priced accordingly, based on the volume of subscribers and the size of the genre. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A. Let's just see if anything popped up
I know there
under the
was
chat.
at least one question. Well, I know somebody asked how they get in touch with you, but you put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
Um, oh, yeah, I can understand this question. Do you also offer services for people with like children's picture books, which are their own category?
Yeah, picture books, I would say, are probably not going to do as well with our specific email promos. I would say everything that we just talked about in terms of building your own email list would still be applicable here. Obviously, I would think you're targeting parents or teachers, potentially in that genre. But for our email list, it's going to be more ebook focused, rather than physical book focus. So most of our email promos that are going out with those discounted, like free or 99-cent titles, are going to be centered around ebooks specifically. We do have like young adult genres for sure, and we do have children genres as well. But for picture books, it kind of depends on how effective you think like the ebook format of your specific books are. Again, that's something that you could always send to us. Just reach out at hello@writtenwordmedia. We could look at it. If you're selling on Amazon, we can take a look at it and let you know whether we think it's a good fit for one of our placements or not. And we'll be honest with you if it's not.
All right, someone just asked Candace, you asked about when do you start a promo? Is that in relationship to, say, a book launch or just in general, Candace? Can you clarify? I mean, do you have thoughts on when people should be doing
Yeah,
promos?
yeah, absolutely. So, this promos don't need to only be around a book launch. So, if you are launching a book, the email promo, so like a free booksy or a bargain booksy through Written Word Media, that's going to go out after your book has gone live. And you can definitely schedule that for, within the first couple days of your launch if you are open to discounting your book heavily for that launch. We see that be a really effective strategy for, generating some initial buzz and downloads and algorithmic credit for you with that book. Something else I would say, if you are a series writer by any chance, what a lot of our authors do is they will, let's say that book three is about to come out, as part of the book three launch like strategy, they will actually do a free booksy, so a free book promotion for book one during the week of the launch of say it's book two or three or four or whatever. So that way you get more people again into that funnel where they download book one for free and then they move on and see, oh, they just came out with book three. Great. I'm going to move on, read two, three, so on and so forth. So that's another great strategy for a book launch would be to actually, if you have a series, to put the first one free and then keep the new one at a normal price.
I have a feeling I'm going to be getting in touch with you at the beginning of next year because I'm doing a huge book launch at the end of this year. And next
Exciting.
year, the whole entire focus is marketing and doing everything you just suggested. So I have a feeling you and I will be talking in the next
Love
six
it. I
months.
look forward to it. That's
Oh,
exciting.
yes. I assume I will just write you at the hello at written word media.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, our team will respond there. And we're very responsive. And like I said, you'll get a real human who loves books and is an expert in all the stuff we just talked about. So it's
Okay.
a very helpful resource.
A couple more questions popped up in the QA box if you'd like to
Oh,
take a look at that.
yes, I see it. Okay, so this question says, I have three nonfictions with overarching theme. Is it best to first promote the newest book first, the older ones, or all three at the same time? That's a really, really good question. So I would say it kind of depends on what your specific goals are. So with um, having multiple books in your backlist, but they're not necessarily a series, but they kind of tie together, I would suggest like if there's a certain order. I don't know if there's a certain order that people would typically read them in. Like, is it normally that they would read the one that came out first? Would that make sense? Or can they be read in any order? I think that's kind of part of the component. But whichever book that you're comfortable discounting is the one you're going to want to promote. If they're not a series and they're not sequential, it doesn't really matter what order they go in, then it really doesn't matter as long as you make sure that you have back matter on all of those books, especially on the one you're promoting, to make sure that those readers, once they finish the first book, are aware that you have other books available as well. So that they'll move on to read the other ones. So it's really all just about like tying them together and making sure that there's visibility and some type of hook for that reader to move on to the next book, whether it's a series or not, whether it's just another book of yours. That kind of same strategy still applies.
Yeah, I'm never sure how to promote things when it comes to like you're dropping a third or fourth book in a series and you're trying to get new readers, however, they would have to read the first couple books. I never
Yep.
know how to approach that subject matter.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, if it is truly a series, I would highly recommend a free Booksy promotion for book one, because the book one's going to get them into the series, and then just make sure that you again have those hooks in the back matter to get them to move on to the next book. And obviously, like don't just put the back matter at the end of book one for book two. If you've got four, like the end of book two should drive them to three, the end of book three should drive them to four, so on and so forth.
Well, this was a wonderful presentation. I've seen a bunch of people. Oh, of course, I'm going to say good job. We still have a few more minutes, and someone just asked, I know you kind of went through the back matter
Yeah.
before, but someone else is asking for slightly more clarification on the back matter. Like, can you give a list of what you would include?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the back matter, so after someone gets to like the last page of your book, you should have the ability, whether you're doing this through like Kindle Direct Publishing or whether you've worked through any other type of vendor to publish your book, you should be able to feature a number of different things in the back matter. This is a lot of times where people will put like acknowledgments and thanks to the people that help support them on their writing journey. In that back matter is where you are going to want to include information about the next book or that reader magnet, which is essentially like reader magnet makes it sound maybe more complicated than it is. It's really just a link that drives them to enter their email address. And we're talking about ebooks generally, but obviously if this was in like a physical book, you could do this too, where you put the website that they need to go to, and then they would fill out their email address in exchange for what we call a reader magnet, which could be anything that you're giving away for free. Again, it could be a novella, it could be a short story, it could be the first chapter of the next book, it could be a bonus chapter, a deleted scene, like really any type of content that you can give them that feels exclusive, and you're getting that in exchange. It's like the same idea as, you go to like buy a new pair of shoes and you go onto a website and the thing pops up and it's like put in your email address to get 15% off your first purchase. It's kind of that in a sense, right? It's just at the back of your book. And you're trying to get them to, in exchange for something, give you their email address. So that's what you're trying to do with the back matter of your book.
You're basically paying for their email address with a free story.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Hmm.
So I would love to see everybody give her applause and reactions of hearts and love. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
such a wonderful presentation. Yeah, here come the love. Here comes the love from this wonderful group of writers. This was very informative, and I don't know that I could tell you how many great presentations. Wonderful job explaining things to this group.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you so much for joining us today. Guys, just want to remind you, start next week, Friday and Saturday is business boot camp. I will certainly be there both days. I hope I get to see everybody there. In the meantime, thank you, Tara, so much for your time. And we will see everybody around the WIP world. Okay? Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.